Evening.
Hey there. It's nice to see you. It's Hey Tim.
Hello.
How's it going? I'm Christina.
It's going great. Well, yeah, running a bit late, but
I want everybody to know that I do have the recording button on right now as you're entering in, so we can channel. Let me change my screen. There we go. Welcome, Fritz.
On the camera.
Hey there, Fritz.
I'm gonna get it. There it is. Hello, hello.
I'm trying to get my sound somehow. There we go. Sound. Let me just drop our link into general in case anyone wants to jump in. Meeting to discuss applicant. Take now. Please join us. Smiley face. I don't know. I feel like I do things wrong on Discord all the time. Somebody the other day was like, can you send me a DM because so we don't fill up the channel? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm probably just out there not managing my
you're fine. Right. You're fine.
All right. I wanted
you gotta push sometimes and repeat.
Yeah, repeat. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna get started here. I'm going to share my screen, which has the agenda and our meeting notes on it that I have for our. Can everyone see my window here? Oh no, back over here.
Okay.
It goes there. Now I can, and maybe I should make it a little bigger so you can read it. So I'm going to take some meeting notes. I'm going to take attendance here. It looks like we have a Fritz, Christina. We've got its litany. Oh my gosh, that's how it's going to be. I'm sorry. I know so many people by their names and then some people by the other name. I swear it's never going to be David Poindexter. I don't care who you tell. He's always going to be Robert Tables and it's always together. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. It's really weird when you see people at TwitchCon and everybody's using their handles, their screen names.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like they were interviewing people on stage. So Shadow Fox, what do you think of? And
right.
Okay.
That works. That's great. Awesome. Welcome, Nico Game. I'm just going to remind you that we're recording our meeting as we go through things here today. We're going to post it up on YouTube and then post the meeting notes up on our Discord wiki, which I used the wrong way and I need to go and fix and put up the meeting notes because I was uploading it. It's not a file upload. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm the marketer. Okay. So I'm learning Markdown. Got to get those up. All right, cool. So I wanted to talk about the processes for adopting new policies. First of all, we're going to do our applicant task force meeting the first Friday and the third Friday every month, repeating. The meeting link's always going to be the same, and it's always going to be in that applicant task force meeting. Okay, so it'll always be the same, and you can always watch it on YouTube and then comment on Discord if you need to, or in the channel. We have that channel. And then the meeting notes will be up as well, and you can read through those also. And we've got a process for adopting any major new policies now. And so today, as we come up with whatever policies or ranges or things we have, we're going to put that into a document and then, take any feedback for the team for a couple weeks. And then, we'll either adopt that policy or tweak it or change it a little bit or whatever the team says, And if it just happens to be us 5 doing that, then, that's what we get. as long as everybody's, it's a team effort, and there is an opportunity at least for 2 weeks for people to take things back in and then give us that feedback. And then, once the leadership committee and the founder go, all right, yep, we've taken all the feedback, everything's good, adjustments have been made, we're going to address this, change it, and then we'll have we'll discuss it in our next meeting if we need to make any changes or follow-ups or anything. So we've got a process for adopting new policies now. This was suggested and recommended in Discord, and this is how we're going to use it. So that moving forward, this specifically is about our applicants. We've got applicants in the nurture program that we need to talk about and discuss. Really, there are 2 goals of this meeting, and that's to set the standards, because some of these things we don't know. Do we want to even count these numbers? Do we want to count followers? What's acceptable number of hours for streaming for intake? All of that. And then we want to bring in the next round of applicants. I do have the spreadsheet with half of the applicants that we've taken in, that have applied, I'm sorry. And then, we're not going to record the actual criticism and critique of those applicants. And we may not even get to that part today. We may have to do that in our next meeting. But regardless, let's just get started with these first things in the agenda. And then if anyone wants to add anything, if we miss it at the end. The first thing that we have is the updates to the applicant intake package. So the applicant intake package, as it stands now, it has our old code of conduct on it. We don't have an updated code of conduct on it. There are some other things that don't talk to processes specifically, right? There's the nurture program mentioned, and that's kind of shifting and changing, and we haven't decided how to manage that. So do we have anyone here that's willing to actually look at the applicant intake package and then, mark it up, make some suggestions, some changes to the file? Or do you want to say, everybody email Christina your things, and then we'll vote on them as a team and see how it works? Either way, the team's going to have to, finally approve it, and the leadership committee and founder will have to finally approve it. But we do need somebody to kind of take ownership of the management of that. If there's anyone here, let me know. And does anybody have any thoughts right now about the intake package? Just knowing what you know about how your process was when you came in.
I guess for me, the biggest issue is trying to remember what intake was back then, because it was October 2019. So I don't think there was any sort of real thing in place at that point.
Okay. I'm trying to see if we have any. I don't think we have anything on our site. I don't think there was a link on the team. No, there wasn't a
link about
the intake package or what any kind of expectations or anything were. No. Okay. No. So, maybe what we have is I've got a PDF file right now, and maybe what I'll do is I'll turn it into a shared Google Doc, and I'll put that link into the applicants channel, and people can just kind of comment, and we can start working through it and making notes about what to add, what not to add. And I think that's a good place at least to start for now, right? Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Because again, I'll be honest, I don't even know what the current intake package is. Okay. I know it was talked about before, but I didn't pay attention back then, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that works. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, same for me. Okay. I think it was just a message to Jeff, and that's about it back then.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, right. The applicant packet really came in at the end of that first year because we had 100+ folks and had to set some
communications and a little like here's some expectations, who to talk to, who to. Yeah. Okay, got it. All right, got it. So that's fine. As we have something, so let's just build on what we have and go from there, right? Cool. The next thing is, we got to decide how many applicants we want to accept. And so based on how we have applicants right now, I think there are 58 last time I checked. And, I think it may make sense to go through this process 3 times a year, 2 times a year. And then how many do we want to accept a year? How many do we want to, it kind of depends. Do we want to grow up to 200 and then reevaluate our processes and pause and take a break and then reestablish new processes and then go, okay, well, maybe we'll take more, maybe we'll take less, fewer. I don't know. What do you think? Anybody have thoughts on who and how?
We tried to do feedback on feedback and include folks on a monthly basis, because nobody likes to have applications hanging out there forever. Hey, what do you think of my channel? Can I join your group? To leave it out there for 3 to 6 months, and we've left some of these out there for almost 6 months now.
Yeah.
They get frustrated, they get annoyed, and then they'll turn around and badmouth us.
I see.
So
you think a monthly process?
Yes. In fact, we even had somebody complain that a month was too long and called us racist because we didn't evaluate theirs with the next monthly group. Like,
well, I think a lot of that too, though, is if there's a process stated, whatever we come to an agreement here in this meeting and the next meeting, and we have that stated and we put it up in GitHub in the applicant intake, whatever that is, then it'll manage the expectations, because we'll be communicating it right there. This, so every month, this is our process. We are run by volunteers. A lot of us, especially technologists, will work 60, 70, 80, 100 hours a week. If let's really be honest here, right? I mean, plus you're streaming. I mean, it's a lot. And so to think that, more than a month, like I said, I know how all of you are working out there and putting content out constantly. I was going to suggest 3 times a year. So, if everybody agrees here on a monthly basis, we can set up the process going from there and kind of take that in, going from there. What do you think? Should we try it out for a month and see how it goes, and then we can survey the team?
Well, I think we have a little bit of catch up to do.
Yeah.
We've got to catch up on where we left off. Because we haven't addressed it since the fall.
My view on it is, once we get rid of the current backlog one way or another, I think looking at sort of every 4 to 6 weeks at most, I think is a reasonable time frame.
Okay.
It's trying to balance, obviously, the people who's volunteering to do it, but along with the people who's actually putting themselves out there and actually applying for this.
Sure. Okay, I like that then. So I think we're all in agreement that we're going to work on the first backlog groups, these 2 groups, of 58 people, I think it was, and I cut them down. So we'll work on these first, get rid of the current backlog, and then after that, moving forward, we'll try 4 to 6 weeks if our volunteers will allow that, if that's how the applicant task force is moving through things. And then we'll just give everybody the time frame. So even if we have different volunteers each month helping out in the applicant task force, everybody has that same process. They know what the time frame is, and all of the notes and everything are right there for reference. Does that make sense? Okay, so now the other thing is how we review existing team members. Here's another question that came up quite a lot, and has been kicked around on the server and conversations and meetings. How often do we review existing team members? So let's say, maybe somebody isn't streaming as much, and we're going to talk about ranges and stuff in a bit here, but maybe somebody has been active and then they stopped. Maybe they're just an introvert. I don't know. How do we review existing team members and the ranges of the content that they're producing? Or because especially with COVID, right? Everybody's taking breaks. I know I've taken plenty of breaks on things. Or here's another scenario. Somebody's been streaming a lot, giving a lot to the group, and then suddenly they get a new client and they haven't streamed for 3 months, but they're still talking in the group, but they're not streaming. Like what about if they stop talking in the group, but they're still doing lots of streaming? What do you think?
We've also got questions around folks just leave the Discord. Well, they're not participating with the group. Are they still part of the group?
Yeah.
I think the issue you get with like that is you don't get the folks who never have been part of the Discord, but are still part of the team to some degree.
Right.
So it's trying to draw that fine line between what we require of members, what we don't, along with the timeframes.
Yeah, I think these are really important questions, and we don't have to answer them now, but in the next meeting, we're definitely going to have some answers to pose to the team, to survey the team, so the team makes a decision. And if the team doesn't respond and give us feedback and help us make a decision, and it's just the 5 of us, then that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're still going to leave all of the information out there. We're going to post the video of the meeting. We're going to give people 2 weeks to give us feedback. We're going to take it to the leadership committee and our founder to work any things out, maybe that's what we need to do. So if we don't have answers for this stuff right now, I think that's okay. Does anybody have any other comments about agenda number 3? How often do we review existing?
Not exactly how often, but I think it might be individual as well. Just have a conversation with someone. If someone stops being active in the Discord, that could be a reason. And if it's just a client and after that it will be they will be back, then yeah, that might be fine. And same for numbers. My numbers are not very high. I stream two times a week, but maybe in a niche. So yeah, if the numbers are the thing, then you could be active in the team. Maybe not the most active, and stream regularly, but not the biggest streamer. But you could have people that don't stream and are not active and don't respond to anything. Yeah, then it might be different. So I think it has to be kind of individual.
Yeah, I think it's case by case is a good point there, Timmy.
Yeah,
totally agree. I think there's some low-hanging fruit that we can kind of engage with folks and say, listen, it's been a year since you've even streamed, let alone participated with the group. Is Twitch still a thing for you? If it isn't, that's okay. We're going to remove you from the roster. You're welcome back if you decide to join, if you decide to stream again. But we want to, I think the idea of pairing folks back is in part to ensure that we have a true list of here's engaged folks on Twitch.
Engaged folks. Right.
Yeah,
And
I think
engaged. Let me just finish, Mark. Engaged is not just broadcasting, but a member, but interacting with the community. I think. So I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I apologize. I didn't realize you hadn't finished that. I think you've summed up a bit of what I was going to say. If we're going to be looking at sort of streaming and activity requirements, I think especially with the current climate, we need to be looking sort of at bigger timeframes. So looking at 9 months to a year sort of period. And maybe that's something in the future that could be reviewed and sort of tightened down and slowly start to bring it a bit more close to a bit more active. But again, as Source Group brought up, I think it's got to be very much a case-by-case basis because there's a lot going on and real life always does trump virtual. I think one thing we have to be careful about when it comes to numbers, seen something today that came out from Zach Boosie. So over the last 90 days, he was saying that if you average more than 6 views, you're within the top 7% of Twitch.
Whoa.
If you strip out non-affiliate or partners, that widens the gaps to 30%. So you're in the top 30% if you average 6 viewers in the last 90 days. If you average 11 or more, puts you in the top 15%.
Do you have a link to that?
So, yeah, I'll send it through to you. But I think if we put a number requirement on it, we've got to be really, really careful. Because I'm not being funny. If you're in the top 30% of Twitch right now, then hats off to you regardless.
Yeah.
But those numbers have been dropping and dropping because the pool's been more and more diluted with more streamers coming on board.
Absolutely.
So I think we really need to be careful when it comes to any sort of number-based requirements.
Yeah.
How would you feel about, and honestly, my concern was more, you're actually just streaming. I don't think we care how many viewers you have, how many followers you have.
Right. Yeah, and that was what Layla and I had discussed when we were doing the starting to fill out the spreadsheet thing about viewers and followers. A lot of what seems to be the case, from our survey and from all the conversations and my one-on-ones with team members and meetings and stuff is that, we're really focusing right here, our core values. Goals should support the live coders' core values: learning, teaching, and mentoring to make live streaming approachable to a wider, more diverse range of technologists. That really kind of sums everything up. So if we're looking to do that, I don't think that, the followers and the viewers and the popularity contest matter so much as the content of putting out the learning, the teaching, the mentoring content in a way that is approachable. That's really the key, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That we're not
I think-
shaming people for not knowing or understanding things. That y'all don't make fun of me for not getting my markup game on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I guess the last bit I was going to put in was basically, I think in terms of requirements for joining, I think keeping the minimum affiliate requirement is a good, valid area to go with. And I believe Jeff's mentioned it before, just shows a commitment to the idea of streaming.
Yeah.
But outside of that, and maybe having a decent number of science and tech-based streams, I don't think personally that any other numbers should really bring into whether we take them on or not. I think for some streamers, something like a nurture program might be a better option to bring them on if they were very borderline, whereas others would just fit in perfectly. But that's expanding out of the initial of 0.3.
Well, I think it makes sense to have a fair amount of science and tech-based streams. I think, though, that there's still going to need to be a requirement of hours stream, maybe not followers, viewers, but that, and we'll get in just a second, but let's talk about all of those in a moment, where it's more specific. I wanted to ask here's the thing, we're all in agreement that it's a case-by-case, one-on-one basis that you need to reach out to people and go, hey man, you haven't been streaming a lot. Hey man, I see you left the Discord server, but you're on the team. Who's going to make that call? Is it an email? Is it a procedure where somebody sends a DM or tries to contact them first and says, hey, we want to talk to you. I'd like to chat with you. Is it just, hey, does anybody in the group, are they friendly with this person? Because guess what? We've got nearly 200 people and everybody doesn't know everybody. And so it's not easy to just say, hey, go call so-and-so if you've never even met before, and tell them, ask them what's going on and how they're feeling about the group. Well,
so we had a situation right as pandemic started, somebody who was very active on the Discord, and I'm not going to name any names, and I would ask, for the sake of the recording, we don't discuss any names. Very actively broadcasting, suddenly stopped.
Yeah.
It just disappeared from Discord, stopped broadcasting, and we got concerned, like, hey, where'd they go? And the number of us reached out and hey, we're concerned. Want to make sure you're okay. Nothing happened. We understand there were some environmental challenges in your part of the world. We want to make sure you're okay. And it took about 6 months, but we finally heard back from them, and And
Ah,
but it's hard because we do want to be empathetic. We want to make sure that we're helping folks out here. But when pandemic started,
yeah.
for a handful of folks that were really active,
Uh-huh.
it
It's hard if you don't know their first and last name too.
yes,
That's also a thing.
yes. There's a couple of folks that not many of us know their real name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
But
I don't know what the solution is in this case.
I guess it's hard because we don't take emails in as a standard policy.
Can we
Then
put
even
that
if
in
we,
our new standard policy of
I
applicant
guess the
intake?
issue there is with different countries and different data processing laws. Because I know, like, I got a letter in the UK recently that if I hold any information like that, I need to register with the ICO now,
are you
which is
kidding?
an annual fee. Yep.
If I give
Any
you my
person
email
like
address, you have to register that.
in a business sense, yeah. So it's local issues like that that you can end up
Yeah.
running afoul of. So, and obviously that's if someone decides to make it an issue, but you never want to run that risk.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we make it here? Here's another question. Can we make it required that everybody checks Discord once a week? By joining our team and you sign here, you're agreeing to check in at Discord once a week. And if you don't, that's you. That's our communication policy and that's our process. Is that I don't know, is that a thing?
I think maybe once a week is a bit too often sometimes. If you're maybe on vacation, it's
Yeah. Good point.
too much.
I guess other devil's advocate there is what do we do regarding existing members that aren't?
Well, we will absolutely have to talk to every single one of them and find them. That's right. And say, here we have updated agreements, everybody. This is our process now. Everybody, here's where you check in. Here's where we have some task force meetings if you want to join. You know, we produce a couple events every year and we have charitable giving around that. This is what we're about. Here are our core values. Here's our updated code of conduct. By the way, also, you've got to check Discord every other week. Sign here. We're making new commitments or new up. I'm not sure.
We're trying to be a community, and if you want to join this group and not participate in the community,
Right.
that's not the type of engagement that we're
Community.
looking for.
Right.
I completely agree. I think that's just one of the what ifs that's going to come up is legacy members that aren't in the group. We could do the check the Discord. Do we put a few bits in place instead of if you haven't streamed in X period of time, expect even as far as a Discord DM or whisper from X group of people that would be looking after this? Because I guess it's going to be hard to see if people are genuinely actively checking Discord, unless you're expecting them to post once a week,
Or we write some
which
sort
then
of
isn't really engagement.
Well, here's the thing that I'm just thinking is that if it's written that they have to check Discord every other week. Oop, I wrote twice a week. Every other week. Sorry, time is hard for me sometimes. Every other week, you know, and then we know that for any major policies or changes that we're adopting, we're going to give people 2 weeks to give feedback. And then if they come back and go, hey, what happened? We didn't get the feedback, or we didn't do the thing. We could say, well, we know that you're supposed to check every 2 weeks at least. And the information was there. And so we have delivered that information to you, but you didn't check it within the 2 week time. So you didn't give us our feedback in the process. Does that kind of solve that? Or I don't know.
It could be a solution, almost like essentially an honor roll of it.
I mean, and I don't think it's like people are going to be checking and looking out and everything. I think it's more of a thing that if somebody comes to complaints and say, hey, but I didn't get that, where we could say, yeah, but you're supposed to be checking on Discord every 2 weeks, so you should have got it. So
yeah,
I think
that's
it's
what
more
I mean.
of a
So
that
we're
kind of thing.
essentially, end of the day, everyone's adult to some degree.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's down to them whether they decide to check or not. But we take the assumption initially that they have, unless they fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah,
And I think that gets rid of some niggles from people.
cool.
we could word it as, we expect that you're going to be checking in on Discord on a regular basis. Don't even give it time, on a regular basis.
Great.
And right then we're covered. Well, you know, the policy is we give 2 weeks notice on these types of changes. If you're not checking in on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah, I like that. That works. Does everyone else agree with that?
Yeah.
We're gonna
This
put
looks
that.
great.
Yeah, I like that
I mean,
too.
right, and to the point that was made earlier, if folks go on vacation, you step away for a bit. You know what? You want to step away from streaming for a month or so. That's okay. But when you decide to re-engage, get back in touch with us on a regular basis.
On a regular basis. Yeah. Yeah, that works. We could try that. And you know what? If something happens, then you change it. So it's all good. All right, cool. Let's talk about this next part, is the buddy for volunteers, for new team members. And I think, you know, does this tie into the nurture program? Can someone talk to me about the nurture program?
So I believe the original plan of the nurture program was, when we were taking in a group of streamers that didn't quite meet the requirements that was there at the time, there was going to be a task force of people who was pretty much going to essentially act out as a buddy for them to help sort of improve the streams, build them up, get them up to the requirements, and then eventually they would then migrate over to the main team. But I believe not long after it started, it pretty much sort of fell on its face due to commitment issues or
Got it.
other things that went on.
Sure.
The administrators of that program stepped away.
Oh, I see.
Stopped participating in some of that engagement, and we get 2-3 months later, and it's okay. What's our next steps? I got nothing. Okay.
So let me ask this then. How many people do we have in the nurture program, and are they ready? And did they have the applicants that I saw that are in GitHub, or is that different?
In terms of numbers, I couldn't tell you exactly how many it is, but I'm sure if one of the Discord admins pull up the roll and count that,
I'm just going to pop in there now. It's a
okay, so
there's
there is a
normal
roll.
members in there as well, which makes it harder to count. When we looked at it during the full time, I know I pointed out, I think it was 2 or 3 streamers at the time that were meeting the requirements, but no one's looked at it in sort of 3 to 4 months, and I think only one in the nurture program's actually put an application in for the main team recently.
Is that the idea, that someone in the nurture program is eventually send in a new application to then join the team, or is it something that should be monitored, and over time, if someone it would be good enough to just let someone know in Discord and it will upgrade it to a full member.
My thoughts was the latter there. That it was going to be they would migrate into the main team and not need to reapply.
Yeah.
Because the people looking after the nurture program pretty much said yes, they're ready to come over. They meet the requirements. Let's bring them in.
Okay, so does anybody have any suggestions right now? Does anybody know the people in the nurture program or have comments about the current state of the nurture program? Because if we're starting just from scratch, then let's just roll up our sleeves and decide on some next moves.
There are 13 people in the program.
I didn't see really much activity last month, only from, I think it's 3 men who asked to get accepted in the team. I don't really know if there's really much sense for it currently. I'm sorry for my bad English.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe that's a thing. Maybe we roll it. I mean, maybe we push back the next task meeting. 13 people's a lot. Maybe that's what we deal with in the next task meeting is look through everybody and bring them in, or it seems like there is not going to be a nurture program moving forward, at least until we can get some regular people coming into the applicant meetings, right? Every first and third Friday here in front of this screen right here. So I don't think that, I think the nurture program should be cut. Maybe just bring those 13 people in, review them. And then instead, when somebody comes in, assign them a specific buddy. Maybe we had talked about that in a couple other meetings and conversations in Discord where we just assign them a mentor. You get a one-on-one person that you know you can go to communicate. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Any comments?
Personally, I think if we've got people that would be willing to work on it, I think the nurture program had legs. It could have worked well. And I think for those that don't quite meet whatever requirements get agreed on, I think it could be a good program and probably a better solution than maybe one-on-one mentoring.
Cool.
In
Okay.
terms of the 13 that's currently in there, I think before we even looked at reviewing them, we'd need to pretty much start from scratch and re-engage. Because for a lot of these, they've not heard anything for upwards
Right.
of 5-6 months.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
I see.
this is something that we need.
Yeah.
We need
let's clean
folks who
that
are
up.
active,
Right.
engaging, and participating with.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas, Mark, on how to maybe get those people to administrate this program? I mean, we could make another nurture program task force. I can make task force all day long, right? So we can make it the nurture program, keep the channel, you know, maybe just have a little more structure around it. Maybe, what do you think? Like 3 volunteers to manage it? I don't know.
I think the first thing we need to look at is who would be willing to spend time on it, because it's not going to be a small task, really.
Okay,
It's going
what
to be
would
some
be involved?
time commitment. I think last time when it got put together, and Jeff might be able to correct me on this, I believe there was only 2 running it.
Okay.
I think 3 to 4 would be sort of a decent number.
Okay. And then anything else involved in that? What did they do? Do we know the type of work that's involved? Are they communicating once a week? Are they pair programming, pair streaming? How are they teaching people how to use their gear? I don't know.
I think there was some details around, but I wouldn't be able to remember it, unfortunately. But I think that's something that would need to be defined if we decided to go ahead with this in the future.
Right. That, and I think that was a little bit of the the criticism, a little bit of the concern, and certainly the feedback from
Yeah.
those folks in the program is, okay, now what?
Right. Got it. Got it. So I like your idea of 3 to 4 people, because with 1 to 2 people last time, it seemed like if it was too much, and people dropped out. And then if some people aren't available, at least, you know, we'll have a couple others available and they can do tag team. I think, yes, we're all in agreement of evaluate the current 13 people through the program. So maybe it's a 2-part thing. Maybe we do, let's run through the 13 people right now and evaluate them with whatever we've got. Bring them in. Maybe some of those 13 would be willing to run the nurture program. Right? They've got lots of opinions and passion about it. So, you know, then they can work on defining the program. Maybe we can find 3 or 4 people to do it. Maybe we do like the other task force meetings where, you know, I've got it set and I'm kind of just helping facilitate them for the first few until the team really starts going and somebody else facilitates and moves forward. Maybe it's something like that. And we approach it with 2 steps. First, we deal with the 13 people right now with what we've got. And then after that, and after they've been brought in and onboarded and all of that, they may even be able to jump in and recruit others. And maybe we'll do a call out for volunteers to see if anyone wants to work on it.
I like the idea of, and back up, I phrased that poorly. I feel like we're not in a good place. Where the heck did that Zoom screen go? We're not in a good place with, oh, it's kind of hiding over here. With admitting people on a regular basis right now to attempt to reestablish a nurture program while we're having a hard time just getting in the folks that are qualified would be putting the cart before the horse. It would be trying to do something that we're not ready for yet. Let's go through our backlog and let's look at reestablishing the nurture program in June, July. Give us 2-3 months. Let's put folks in the nurture program, current program, right at the front. We're probably going to end up adding all of them. Go through the backlog. Make decisions from there. We might say we're closing membership for the next 6 months.
Right.
That's okay too.
Yeah.
To be honest, when I was talking about this, I was thinking more sort of looking at starting September, October time once it's all in place. Similar sort of reasons as you put there, Jeff. We need to sort out everyone that's already applied. We need to clear through that, get that set up, working, and in that time start putting together ideas of how we want it to look, and then put it together probably around Q3, Q4 sort of time.
Just because, and you make a great point, Mark, there's a lot of engagement, there's a lot of hands-on community management that needs to happen there.
Okay. Hands-on community management. Excellent. Does everyone agree to show up to our next meeting and help us go through those 13 people? We'll see how that goes. The next thing that I want to talk about, and this is the very last thing, and then if anybody else has any agenda items, we wanted to find the range of acceptable numbers. And so, you know, when we talked about that, hold on here, I'm going to give you the fields that we looked at. Drive, here we go. We are the live coders and no, I have no idea. What am I? Oh, I know where. Got it. Okay, so the things that we collected, they were Twitch name, if they're an affiliate, the average hours streamed, followers, hours streamed in the past 12 weeks. Oh no, it was the average viewers. That's what it was, sorry. Followers, hours streamed in the last 12 weeks or 3 months. Their tech stack, hours viewed, different, and then just comments. So I don't know what's important in accepting people and what kind of ranges we want to look at when we're doing the intake. Here, I'll just change my screen right over here so you can see it. Way over here, all the way. All right, and share. Oh, hi, there I am, right here. So here now we're looking at, you know, I just put random things that we're talking in here, but we'll need to put the steps that we actually land on and how we want to do it. I put Sully Gnome in here because that's what we looked at for Twitch stats.
Mm-hmm.
Twitch name, affiliate, the average viewers that they've had. Again, I'm in agreement. I don't know that viewers necessarily in 3 months is a huge thing, or followers. I think numbers of hours streamed in the past 12 weeks is a thing because we're an organization about providing educational content, mentoring others through that process while we learn, right? That's what it seems like. A lot of people are doing a lot of learning while they code as well, which is part of that value. How much the number of views gained, again, I don't know if that's an important thing or if that's we want to just completely ignore that, or if you want to say, all right, sure, there's a certain range we'll accept. Their tech stack, that may matter. We asked that on the application, and I know a big part of that is we want to be a diverse group, right? We don't want to be a group that only speaks one language or is only from one tech stack. And maybe that might influence us throughout the year.
So I see column C and E there. Average viewers in the past 12 weeks, number of hours streamed. There's a number that gets generated out of that. That's the right. It's not just the average viewers, but it's also the average viewers per hour streamed.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that, right, that's something that I think we want to make sure if there's folks that come through that are applying that have 100 plus average viewers per hour, right? Okay, here's somebody that we really want to make sure we bring in that can help grow the team. Somebody comes,
and they're offering so much quality content, obviously, if their viewers are eating it up.
It's not something that I think is making or breaking an application, but I think it moves them around in the stack.
Sure. Kind of like the tech stack too, right? So, I mean, if we have 58 and they're all .NET developers, you know, that's an issue. So we want diversity.
Then Timmy, we'd love to get a VR developer in. If the VR developer comes through, hey, there's somebody, move them up in the stack. You know what? Yeah, let's bring in a VR developer. That would be really cool to engage and help out growing the diversity of the group.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. So, you know, are there any comments about these fields, or do you think we should add more fields, or what would those ranges be? You know, the average viewer per hour streamed in the past 12 weeks. If that's 100 and you're saying the 30% right now is 11 viewers, I think you said.
Yeah, right. That's crazy. Right. That's kind of crazy to me when I think about what it takes to get affiliate. You're talking about 3-5 average viewers, and to be in the top 30% of Twitch just as an affiliate.
Yeah.
That says something about how many folks are joining the site.
Exactly. And when you include everyone in, 51 viewers got you top 1%.
Yeah. Wow.
I
mean,
think the average viewers per hours thing would be good as a general metric, but not as a make or break for the applications. I
Right.
think we covered it before. I think do they meet the affiliate requirements, and do they seem to stream still quite regularly? I think that's the key sort of two bits, along with do they actually follow our core values, i.e. are the streams safe for work? It's a large proportion of tech-based streams. Little bits like that. So I think it's going to be more subjective than cold hard numbers, but that's my view anyway.
That works. Does
But-
everybody like that process? If we take these questions and we put them into an order of importance, like this batch is important, and then once we've gotten through that batch, then we're going to look at their tech stack and we're going to look at their average viewers and numbers. Does that make sense to everybody? Like that's the second level almost of evaluation.
Well, hard numbers give people something to target, and if they are not reaching those numbers, they don't have to apply, or they could apply, but they won't be. People have to look at it. They have to look at it anyway, but right now it's just there are some numbers given, and if you don't meet the requirements, you don't have to apply because you already know you're not at the level what we're looking for.
Right.
So giving hard numbers would be something to do, I guess. But then it could be a few weeks if once we review, and it could lower again. So yeah, we should look at people. It shouldn't be a red line. If you are below that, you're not in. But it gives people something to target for if there are numbers there, if you know what I mean.
As a thought there, just taking what you've gone there, especially if we're going to sort of have a hard number of this is where we're stopping at, we need to prioritize those as bigger numbers. How about if we used like Sully Gnome's 90-day average of Twitch to get a barometer of where we want that number to be?
Sure. Okay.
So it's going to be a moving target, but at least then, if you're in that area that's marked as the top 30% right now, then hats off to you, you're doing really well. But next month, that 30% might be 8 to 10 viewer average. Then we can relook at that as we come across it each time.
Brilliant. Excellent. Great.
But definitely
okay.
agree with what you're saying, Zorsku. A hard number to apply to can be a good thing to have in there as sort of a metric.
I mean, because somebody like me who has no streaming activity at all, except for if somebody else is producing me on an event and I just stand there and they go talk, Christina, right? For somebody like me, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like I could come up and I could apply, and then you say, great, Christina, you uphold our core values, you're all about science and tech, cool. You did the work to do affiliate stuff, but I don't have all of that other things, and you're still way too new in how you even produce your stream, so you don't really quite make. So I think somehow to set those expectations that at least there's some kind of a level. I think you're right. And then knowing that as we use Sully Gnome, and just tell people we use Sully Gnome to analyze your metrics, and we realize that number changes regularly, and we reevaluate it with every time that we take people in. We look at those top percentages because we know that the numbers shift. I think if we use that language, that should be a good.
And it's the viewer ratio. Is that the number that we're looking at?
It was average viewer, whatever the thing was for average viewer. Yeah.
The average daily viewer ratio for the last 3 months.
Welcome, Robert Tables. We are recording and we're about to end in 3 minutes.
Oh, fair enough.
No worries.
13.
Math is hard. 13.9.
So
yeah, that's where it currently is in science and tech.
Yeah. So, and that's interesting, right? That's, I mean, top 50% is you have 14. Okay. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because obviously we're narrowing it down so it's a small sample of data, so there's going to be less general viewers.
There's a peak that happened there in the middle of February 18th.
Mm-hmm. We're
There's
looking at Sully Gnome Twitch metrics.
I'll share the link
Yep.
in chat here. There's this, hey, there you go. Gosh, Mark
There we
already
go.
put it. Right. Somebody was running an event or something that they got a ton of viewership coming through.
Like a raid or
Nah, more than a raid.
yeah.
That's 200,000 people watching the category.
Oh, when was this?
It's
February
NASA.
18th.
February
NASA's
18th.
average
Oh, it's
view at the moment
NASA.
is
Yeah.
There you go.
40,575.
Yep.
So,
In
I
that
mean, that
period.
skews.
Skews the data then.
Even if we go with the last 14, there's a couple NASA things in there.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, if you went into the data a bit more, we should be able to pull out into CSV and get rid of the outliers.
Yeah, maybe filter those out. Cause yeah, now that
Yeah,
I'm
but-
thinking about it, wasn't the didn't the whole rover lander thing stream on NASA and they did it in Science and Tech? And that was
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah.
And there's a few big science streamers that also did it, which got quite a lot of views above normal.
And even just
Yeah.
today, NASA was streaming the spacewalk at the ISS. So
Great stuff. Great data to have. Oh, here we go. Peak viewers. There you go.
Messing up our
NASA.
numbers now.
it shouldn't. It shouldn't be terribly difficult to go filter that out.
Oh no, you can export to CSV or Excel and just pull out the outliers. It's easy enough to do.
Yeah, I
Get-
just was posting in a different Discord about I am doing a thing with AWS and a feature that they have called S3 Select that lets you do SQL-like querying of structured data like JSON CSV. Exactly what I would do. I would just grab a CSV, data loaded in and query with a filter.
So I think then, just wrapping up, we are past our time. Does anybody have any other things that they want to chat about? I can stay on for another 10 minutes if anybody has any outstanding things, but otherwise I think we're gonna spend our next meeting evaluating the 13 in the nurture program. And that will not be a recorded meeting. We'll just use what we've got right then and there based on, you know, the conversation we've just had about defining things with our core values. Do they have mostly science and tech? Are they streaming regularly? All these kinds of things. We'll just work through that in the next 13 for our next meeting for applicant intake and see how that goes. Once those people are onboarded, the next meeting then we'll go through the spreadsheet of the 58 people that I have. Let's see, how many do I have right now? I'm gonna look exactly. 31 right now to go through. So that's half, something like half.
Yeah, I would love to be able to get through and admit some folks here ASAP.
I was
because
gonna
some of
ask, Fritz, have you heard, or anybody on the call, have you heard some sort of escalation of the pinging? Like, hey, what's up? Why is this taking so long? Cause that was a common thing at some point.
No.
Okay,
And we got somebody at right, and I'll go back to, hey, it's been more than a month. You haven't responded to me. You're racist.
Oh, well,
No, we're just disorganized and run by volunteers for now, and it's a pandemic and we all have full-time
Exactly.
jobs and it's
Exactly.
hard. It's hard. Well, I think this will work then. And then going forward, like we said, maybe it makes sense every 4 to 6 weeks, then we do the regular intakes. We revisit the nurture program later, Q3, Q4, and we'll really start thinking about what that structure is and how that applicant intake package goes. For the applicant intake thing, the current one, I've got a PDF, so I'll put it up in a Google Doc. I'll share it in the applicant task force, so everybody can work on that and we can make edits to the applicant intake. So that way, when we're ready to take in those new applicants, we've got that. Does anybody want to meet before 2 weeks from today to go through those 13?
I'd be game to go again
I
next
feel
Friday.
we need to.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that that particular collection of them, probably a little bit more attention, but
Yeah.
for others, Jeff, like we were saying, is there a way, like, we already have a bot that I just saw one shut down today because
Yep.
it's like, you're not affiliate, right?
Yep.
But for other ones, could we do a wave of just a copy pasta? Like, hey, we're currently evaluating new blah, blah, here's an expectation, just to kind of, we're on it.
Andy
ish.
did that at one point in
Oh,
the
okay.
fall.
Okay.
So lucky number 11 went through and did a copy paste. Hey, we're gonna get back to you, and he promised that we get back in December.
Well,
Missed that.
things don't always work the way we
Things
think
don't
that they
always
will.
work. Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, we didn't
But-
expect all these variants either. We didn't expect all of the outages in power
sure.
and the windstorm and the cold. So
But I think, I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like you all very much more have your shit together. Maybe it would be appropriate to go say, this is what we're doing. Like, don't say it's a due date, but say this is, sort of a little blurb of like, hey, hope this finds you happy and safe, and this is what we're doing, and this is our next step, and something.
would you be willing to write that up? And then I'm happy to copy edit it for you, and we can just maybe ask Lucky to push that out. Does that work?
Yeah, I will totally do that. I'll get that over to you by tomorrow afternoon, and you wordsmith it however you want, pass it along.
Yeah.
But it just would be nice to give people like a, we're on it ish.
I'm half tempted to just say, if the rest of you are in, say, look, why don't we just merge in the folks who are in the nurture group, just add them all to the team right now.
Are there,
Assuming they're affiliate, add them
sure.
to the team.
Are there any things that stand out to the other people on the call that there's any individuals that would be an issue with?
I don't know any of the individuals, so I can't speak to it.
I think my biggest concern with just taking them all in is when I looked at it in November, I think I pinged Jeff the details on a few. There was half of them hadn't streamed in a few months at that point.
I mean, to be honest though, we didn't really help them much either. So
I know.
And that was
I
something,
think
yeah.
right.
it's a reaching point.
I am not opposed to doing it unless there's something egregious that stands out, like,
Let's do a quick pass and see, have they been streaming recently? Do they, and are they affiliate? If they meet those two, put them in. If they haven't been streaming, look, what, are you still interested?
yeah, then maybe it's like a, hey, are you still interested? Or, do you need some help? Whatever.
And if they are still interested, do we just let them join anyway? It's been a year.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, unless they are streaming things now okay, so I'll put it this way.
they may be, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, if they're, we want people to be streaming science and tech. I mean, we already have our code of conduct and all that stuff. But if they then ventured off to start streaming things and then didn't really do stuff that kind of falls in line
with our
good-
core
with-
values, because
know,
so
that
much
kind
of
of
it is the
stuff.
mentorship piece. So much of it, I think, is that open, that two-way learning teaching thing is really what people, there's a lot of giving and sharing as
Mhm.
we learn. And I think that's really important, and to do a blanket admit without reviewing those points, I think might be an issue.
I wouldn't, that's the thing is, I wouldn't mind following what Jeff suggested. Unless, some people have strayed and now they're, I don't know. Doing
Uh,
something that's obviously not something that we want, but that's easily rectified too. The problem is that like reputations are easily tarnished.
Yes.
So how about we say stop on the recording, have a quick pass through everyone, see where to sit on everything, and then just go
That
yay
works
nay.
for me. I've got
Yep.
time. Okay, perfect.
I'm okay with that.
Excellent.
Well, I don't technically have a say here. I was just popping in to see how y'all are doing
We're
your
glad
stuff.
that you're in and you're here, so you have a say. Welcome.
And I also miss my team and I've never met anybody on the team.
Awesome. Oh,
Dang
well,
it.
okay, here we go. I'm going to stop recording. Hold on.